Hello YouTube! Welcome to another episode of Dad Tips. Alright, today we are going to be swapping out a range hood microwave. So this one that's installed, it randomly, the vent fan just turns on all by itself. Could be the middle of the night, turns on. It's quite annoying. So I got a new one. Gonna swap it out since we're just replacing an existing one. Shouldn't be too bad of a job in theory. The manufacturers do a pretty good job of keeping the mounting holes in the same spots and using the same style of brackets. I'm not sure till I get this off if I'm gonna have to replace the bracket or not. But in theory, this shouldn't be too hard. So I'm gonna switch on the GoPro, but I'll also keep that camera running and get multiple angles and go through this process. So this is just swapping out an existing one. Also, you want to keep in mind that most of these come from the factory set for recirculate the air in the same room versus vented to the outside. If you're going to vent it to the outside, you've got to have ducting and you got to change over stuff on top of the microwave to open up the vents and put a flapper on it so that it can vent either outside through a wall or up through a soffit and outside. So again, most of them just come set to recirculate. All right, so first thing, we're gonna open up the cabinet, start the GoPro. So in most cases, you're gonna have a plug coming up through a hole in your cabinet and going into the wall. Just gonna unplug that. And then all that holds these in is a screw here, and then the whole thing's just gonna swing down. And when it swings down, there's a bracket in the back and you just lift it up off of the bracket. So after we do that, we'll figure out if we need to replace the bracket or not. It's a good idea to take the tray out because the tray, when you slide it down, it might slide. Alright, so we're just going to start with loosening these screws up. These tend to be pretty long screws, as you can see. So as I loosen this, the microwave's going to want to rotate down. So if you keep it pushed in, that'll take the tension off of the screw. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting the tension the whole way. And then at some point, it's just when the screw gets all the way out, the microwave's going to drop. You don't want that. Alright, so the screws are loose. In this case, we've got a couple of blocks of wood to take up the space on the underside of the cabinet. A whole bunch of nasty crumbs up on top of here. Alright, the microwave is free. Okay, then it's just a matter of lifting it up off of the bracket. And unfortunately, it appears that the new microwave comes with a different style of bracket. So we're gonna have to take this one off the wall and install a new one, but that's just part of it. Oh well. Alright, I'm gonna stop the camera while I take this old bracket off. Looks like a couple of the screws might need to come out with the drill. So I'll go ahead and resume when I go to install the new bracket. Okay, the bracket comes installed on the back of the new microwave generally. So we're just gonna go ahead and take that off. Okay, I got the old bracket taken off the wall. So most of these microwaves are going to come with a paper template that you can tape onto the wall. so it shows you where to place your bracket and where to drill holes at. It also wants you to make sure and find some studs to drill into or screw into if at all possible. It comes with toggle bolts. It looks like in my case I am going to have to use probably 2 toggle bolts, and I think I can hit 1 stud. So I've got a stud finder, and I'm just going to make sure and run it across the wall and see if I can find a stud to hit. Otherwise I'm going to have to use toggle holes or toggle bolts. Looks like previously that's what they had to use was toggle bolts, and it's not preferred, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to use a stud finder real quick and see if I can find some studs.
Looks like we do have a stud here in the middle. It's claiming there's a stud right here. But based on the fact that they use a toggle bolt in the past, I'm not so sure that there's actually a stud there. But we'll try it. We'll drill a hole and see. It's claiming there's a stud over here too. I'm skeptical, but supposedly there's a stud here, one here, and one here. I don't know. We'll give it a try with the drill bit, see if we can hit a stud or not. In the meantime, let's tape this template onto the wall. Got some double-sided tape. Helps make it nice and easy.
So we're going to want to go right up against the underside of the cabinet, and then in this case we're going to want to go up against the backsplash over here on the left-hand side. Alright, we got that taped on. So it shows right up here, it lines up to where the bracket should be. So it says to make sure you find drill holes in the marked locations. Where there is a stud, drill a 3/16 hole for wood screws. For holes that do not line up with a stud, drill 5/8 holes for toggle bolts. So it's showing for B, D, C, and A. But you've got these other holes to choose from if those don't line up exactly. So we did mark the studs behind the paper. Doesn't do us much good, so we're gonna have to do it again on top of the paper. Okay, I got a drill, got some drill bits. Gonna start in the center because I believe I have a stud in the center. So if we can do that, we can start a screw and get our bracket so that it's sitting there, and then we can make sure and find other holes to line up and also make sure that our bracket is level.
So we know that this hole on the back side lined up to a stud, and there's this hole. So we're going to start here. Ah, didn't work. Alright, we're going to move over to a different hole. Alright, we're hitting a stud. Looks like we're just off to the side of the stud, but we're still hitting one. So that's good.
Okay, so we for sure have a stud this time. We got our 3/16 inch hole there. Now, the goal is A, which doesn't appear that it's gonna hit a stud. I'm gonna drill a real small hole just to see. And B, looks like it might. I don't think that's gonna hit a stud. So we're gonna have to use toggle bolts. And that hole there is too far off, I think, to use a toggle here. And this existing hole here is too far off to use that toggle. So we're gonna end up having to make some new holes for our new toggle bolts. And we're not gonna hit any more studs than just this one. Luckily, the instructions say that you have to hit one stud. So we did manage to do that. So we're gonna do a toggle. That's too close to the big holes on the back side. So I think we're gonna aim for right here for a toggle. And I think we'll go for here. So let's go ahead and drill some pilot holes first. Okay. So now we know where our bracket's going to get mounted up. Mounted at, we can pull this off the wall. Let's hold it up and make sure that it's going to line up to where we want it. Okay, it lines up there, there, and there. All right, so it lines up. The paper was a little cockeyed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a screw here to make sure that these holes, when I start to drill them, that they're centered in the right spots. So I'm just going to go ahead and start a screw. Now it's a good idea to use a level before you start making your holes after you got one hole. So that one there looks pretty good. The one on this side, it's off a little bit. So it calls for a 5/8 inch hole for the toggle bolt. These stepper bits come in really handy when you're going to use a toggle bolt. So let's take this screw out. Okay, it's important to make sure that we're putting the screw through the right holes. There, we got it lined up. So the way these toggle bolts work is they push through the wall one way. When they get through, they expand and you pull the screw back and it pulls them tight against the wall. So you got to make sure that you put it through the correct direction. They're spring loaded. Those holes aren't quite big enough yet. I know it called for 5/8. I don't want to make it too big. Alright, so you just push these in, they go through, they expand, and you pull back, and they're locked in there. It actually works pretty darn well. Okay, we're ready to install our bracket. Want to double check that it's level, which it is. So we'll go ahead, and you got to pull backwards on the toggle bolts to keep it engaged against the back side of the wall. Pull backwards on it as you turn the screw. It can actually help when you're dealing with the toggle bolt to pry backwards, like to put a screwdriver or something behind to pry backwards to keep tension on the back side of the toggle bolt.
I'm snug it up real nice. Snug this one up. That was nice and snug. I'm going to drive this one into the stud.
Got that bolt nice and tight. Got these toggle screws nice and tight. Bracket is pretty close to level. Looks like it might be just a hair off of level. But there's a little bit of slop in this. And when it gets up against the cabinet, it's going to pull it into alignment tightly anyway. Alright, now with any luck, the mounting holes from the old microwave are going to line up to where the new ones, to where they are on the new one. We're going to put the two microwaves side by side and just visually see if they line up before I just plop it into place and hope that it lines up. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so here's our mounting holes. And it looks like they do line up. That one for sure lines up. This one, not necessarily. All right, so there is a template then that comes for the underside of the cabinet as well. May as well take a look at that. So it marks that we've got the wall and it's got the mounting holes. Okay, so that one there, that one. So let's transfer that to the new microwave. Okay, this one does line up. And all right, just for fun, let's lock this into place. So let's set it up there and just see. I know this one's gonna line up. That one, I think it's about 1 inch off. So let's take a look at it and see what we got. It's important you want to feed your cord up through the hole. Lift your microwave into place. Okay. All right, this one is going to be off. Looks like they're both off. All right, they're both off. Looks like I'm going to be drilling new holes for both of those. Great. Oh well. All right, it is what it is. I guess I better take this down off of the wall and see about drilling some new holes. Okay, luckily, previous installer marked my center line. It's still the same center line based on using the level. So we'll be able to rely on that center line. We're gonna have to use a little bit of tape here. Okay, I got the template taped up to the underside of the cabinet and it's showing where to drill the holes. It calls for 3/8 inch holes, even though the bolts aren't actually that big. That's they got a big wide head on them, so it gives you a little bit of room slop to locate everything. It's not an exact measurement when you're putting this stuff together. They got a little bit of slop built in, so you've got wiggle room to work with it. So I'm gonna go ahead, find my locator hole. Okay, I drill pilot holes. Then I'm going to switch to some bigger holes. I can pull the template down now because I got my pilot holes drilled. All right. Got the holes drilled. Got my template down out of the way. Got my new long bolts. They've got a recessed or a unthreaded area to help us be like a locator pin to find the hole into the microwave. So we're gonna go ahead, lift this thing into place, feed the power cord up through the hole, and hopefully these holes line up now to the threaded holes in the top of the microwave. Sitting on the bracket. Feed our cord up through the hole. There we go. Oh, the instructions do suggest that you have blocks of wood with holes drilled in them to take up space if you have a recessed cabinet, which I do. Okay. That one's going to line up. And this one, I'm not sure if the helper hole, I think it's too far over, but we're going to try it and see what happens. Got that one started. This one started. Okay, they both started. Now just run these screws down and we're gonna be done. Plug this in. Should be good to go. Okay. Plug it in. There we go. All right, microwave is installed. It works. It's pretty. It's got a nice white light. Excellent. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dad Tips. Didn't go quite as expected. I had hoped that the brackets would be the same from the old one to the new one. Didn't work out that way, but on the plus side, you got to see how to install a new bracket, see how to use the templates, and I also had hoped that the existing holes in the cabinet were going to line up. Those didn't, so you got to see me use that template and drill new holes as well. All told, I think it went pretty well. No big surprises, and I'm excited to have a microwave that's not going to turn on by itself in the middle of the night anymore. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helps anybody else that's trying to swap out a above range microwave. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe. Sure appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye.